In this video, we're going to import our UVW template into Photoshop, and I'm going to teach you how to create a bump map for it. All right, so in Photoshop, go ahead and open the UVW template file.png. So just go to File and Open, and then find that template that you have saved out. So once we hit Open, it's going to bring that up. Now you'll notice I really can't see. I see a little bit of green here, so I know that the seams are there. So what I'm going to do is actually rename this layer. I'm going to call it UVW, and then I'm going to create a new layer, drag it down below, rename it, and call it BG for background. And then let's just plop in a black background. And so there is your UVs. Now with this background, I'm not going to keep it. I'm actually going to change the color of it. And what I want to do is I want to change it to a neutral gray. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go to something like a 50% gray. Make sure your RGB values are around 128, 129 will work. Let's go ahead and hit OK on this. And then I'm going to plop that color down. Now what this is going to do is anything that is gray in a bump map is going to be completely unchanged. Now, if the color is white, it's going to make the geometry appear as if it's raised off of the model. If it's black, it's going to make it look like it's been pushed down into the model. So what I want to do is I want to create some relief patterns in the top of my drone. Now we know that this right here was the top of the drone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my color to black. I'm going to go to my brush, and I'm going to change the value that we have here. And I'm going to use a nice hard brush. And I'm going to make sure that my value is, I think 13 is okay. And then I'm going to use my pen tool. Now what this is going to allow me to do is I'm going to create these swooping lines that come off of this. I'm going to left click here, and then I'm going to go over to here about the same place. And then I'm going to hold that down and then create this curve that goes across the top of our drone. Okay. Now with that, once I've released it, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say stroke path. And I'm going to stroke it with the brush that we've set up. So let's hit OK, and you'll see that it strokes it with that black color. Now I feel like that's a little bit too thick there. So let's take our brush size on this, and let's take that down to, let's say, maybe 5. And then I'll right click again on my path once I've had that selected there. Let's right click on it. Let's stroke path again. Let's do the brush. You'll see that it makes it much smaller. Now what I want to do is I want to keep that path there. Let's go ahead and turn off the UVs. Now this is what the texture is going to look like. What's going to happen is nothing's going to happen to anything except for this line right here, and that's going to look like it's pressed into the model. Let's go ahead and create a new path for this, and actually let me deselect. See, maybe I can create a new one. Nope. Let me try to, let's delete the path. Now it's going to leave that stroke behind. Let me turn on my UVs again, and I'm going to create another one. And I'm going to go from here to here. And it just kind of crosses that. Let's right click and stroke that path. And for some reason, this one's not wanting to stroke. Let's see. Try that one more time. Let me hit Control Alt. And let me try to cross here really quickly. And then right click. For some reason, it's not allowing me to do that. Let me switch away from it. Okay. Well, let's right click. Let's delete that path. And let me select a layer. Maybe a new layer. Let me try that. And there we go. Okay. I don't think I was on a layer. That's why. All right. So now that that has been stroked, let's right click and, or let's grab our pen tool, right click and then delete that path. And there we go. All right. So now I have that relief pattern. I could come in and I could also make some text So let's say that maybe on the front of the object, I want to put like maybe some font here just to kind of give it a product name. So I'm going to do something like this. Let's grab our text tool. And I'm going to use whatever font. You can use whatever you like. We could use Arial. We'll do that for just now. Use whatever you feel like. I'm going to take the size of that down, though. Let's take it to like 18. And let's just type in Ghost, all in caps there. And I think I hit Enter. I did. There we go. And let's grab that. And I'm just going to hit Control-T to rotate that. Hold down Shift. And I'm going to place it right here in the middle, right above that piece there. Let's hit OK. So now I'm going to have that text, and it's going to push into our model. We're going to have this little detail here. Now remember, earlier in the last module, we had talked about creating detail, and we created those seams, and it would make sense to model seams like that, like around the middle. But it wouldn't make a lot of sense to model a seam like this. That would be really, really difficult. As you can imagine, the topology that it would take to actually model that, it would be a lot faster to just create a bump map and to fake that geometry. Okay, so now that we have this, let's turn off the UV, so that way we're just left with this gray and black material or texture. And let's go ahead and save this out. So let's do save as, and I'm going to save this out as a JPEG for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and call this drone bump. I'm just going to overwrite this. And let's save that out. Let's say yes. And hit OK. So now we have this texture. Now what we want to do is we want to take this texture and we want to apply it to our model. And we want to see what that looks like. But first, what we need to do is we need to learn about materials. How do we apply materials to an object? And then how do we apply textures to an object? Let's jump back into 3ds Max in our next video and talk about how this is done.